Best Experimental Film, Richard Millen. Richard, amazing. I've seen a lot of films in my day, and I've never seen something from 36 years ago that's been revisited. Amazing. Congratulations on doing something that's original and touching and heartwarming, and thank you for making this. Tell us how, yeah, thank you. So you shot your short film in 1983. We'll come back and talk about that. But so you've had this film, very important to you. When did you start thinking about revisiting this in another short film?
A really good friend of mine said to me, you know, and we were very good friends. She said, you never talk about the 80s, the 90s. I don't know anything about you except you were working here, there. And I said, oh, let's come to my house and we'll watch this movie that's been in my closet, so to speak. And the last 35 years, and this is my first film I did. So we watched it, and you know, there's just a lot of stuff going on. I wondered what it would be to give it to someone who was another good friend who was 30 years younger than I am. Would it mean anything? What is it? What it would bring us? So that began the process. And the process was a totally collaborative process. The producer, Corentin Koskas, was there all along the way. And I just had this extraordinary team that was very committed to what this was and towards my discovering what I would find at the end of the process. I knew in the beginning that I wanted to go back to Christopher Street, which of course I've been there 36 years, but I wanted to go back to the exact same spot and see what was there. And you know, it's quite extraordinary because we talk about gentrification. The porno store is a very hip clothing store that says on the window, work, create, love. And I wanted to move from the beginning of Christopher Street to the river. I wanted to end up in the river. And the feedback that I got from very close friends who were much younger than I was that the film needs a context.
So talk about you in 1983. What were you doing in 1983, and why did you make this film, and what happened to it after you made it?
I was teaching full-time French in a junior high school in Brooklyn, New York. I was in the middle of what I thought was a middle-age crisis. Friends were beginning to get sick. It was the end of a long relationship, and I said, why don't I do what I've always wanted to do, which was make films. So I took this class at School of Visual Arts, had a Super 8 camera, and that was the genesis of the film.
So you shot things that were part of your life? It was easy
it was very, when I shot the film, it was all autobiographical, and was also like everything in it feels like very personal, that it was about the end of a specific relationship, but it was also about investigating my relationship to this actor who I was in love with, who I just met.
You said in the film, between grief and nothing, you choose grief. I'm guessing you've lost a lot of people in your life because of AIDS, is that?
Totally. First, Act 3, those extraordinary words are William Faulkner. The whole text is William Faulkner, and Faulkner speaks about grief in a way that I don't think anyone, that I never connected to anything about grief than from reading Faulkner.
And all of a sudden you're dealing with it, with
Well,
friends
and I
that
found
are...
actually, at the end of the process, what the film was it was a meditation on grief, which was not what it was when I began both shooting it and kind of rediscovering what 1983 was.
What kind of feedback have you gotten from friends that were part of this process and in people in your life after doing this experimental film?
I think the major thing I've gotten is that history dies unless you recount it, unless someone who is witness to it is able to bring it forth and do it. And that's been the most powerful thing, is the act of remembering something that's dead that lives on.
So this was your first film that you shot in 1983. Did you shoot other things in this genre back in the 80s? Do you have other footage that you can do things with?
This is the only, the footage is lost from the end of this film, which was basically just a tracking shot of the wall by the river and the graffiti on it, which was "Stop the Movie Cruising," which had been a lot of protests a couple of years before, blah, 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 blah. Check it out, it's really interesting. What happened was that I got very connected to acting, and that I did a lot, I've been acting more or less until I was sick at one point, about 8 years ago, which was the genesis of a short documentary I made, which was called Chronicle of the Death Postponed. So it's all connected, being in back of the camera, being in front of the camera.
Interesting. So you've done some experimental work, some documentary work.
Here's the key. I don't know what you call it. I don't know. When I made the film, if you asked me about it a year ago, I would have said, hey, I made this documentary. It's been since mostly having submitted to places as experimental, or the key thing for me was whatever I need to tell my story, that way I find I can only do it this way. I don't understand, I don't understand beginning, middle, and end, although clearly everything has a beginning, middle, and end. But I'm not, this is the only way I do it. So experimental, document,
It fits into both categories, but for us, we looked at it as experimental because you're doing something, you experimented with a 1983 film, again, which is amazing to us. So again, thanks. Questions from the audience, what do we got? Yes, Karen.
I'm always interested in how a title can help set the tone for a film, and I think this is a really beautiful fit. And so I'm wondering where in this last 36 years you came upon Fragments 83 as a really great thought for title for this piece.
Question about titles and where the title Fragments 83 came from.
Well, Edward Albee wrote this amazing play called Fragments. Beckett did this amazing piece called Fragments. As I was working on this, I understood that the only way I could process this is through fragments, and that it's a extremely violent process. Because the film ends, the memory ends, whatever goes on, it's a fragment. So Fragments 83, that's how I came up with the title.
Interesting.
And I love the title because what is your film about? Fragments 83.
Questions? Yes? Great question. How hard is it to go back and revisit that film? I mean, you talked about how you showed it to your friends. And was it something that you had watched on occasion, or was it sitting there?
I hadn't watched it in literally 20 years, probably. How hard is it to watch? It's difficult, but what's interesting to me is that it's not only, the process at one point was, how do I find what 1983 was? And I would do, research in the archives and blah, blah, blah. And then I opened up boxes in my house, and the answer to the question of what 1983 was found in what survived from 1983, which were letters, which was the first personal ad I put in a paper, because I started thinking maybe it's not great cruising down the street. And the 1983, in fact, encompassed Stonewall, which was the first shot in 1971, and it included somebody who died, a lover who died in 1990. So it was, did I answer the question?
You did.
It's, I'm very compelled by, because, in One Love I was involved with a lot of social movements. I'm very compelled by lies that are being told, memoirs which don't tell the truth, or who kind of, on one level, get it, but don't get it. It really keeps me going.
What are you working on next?
I'm in with my collaborator. We're in another filmmaker. We're working on a project which is very vague, but we're coming together to talk about it, and I don't know if it's going to be experimental, documentary, or
All of the above.
Or all the above.
Well, we've enjoyed having you. Richard's been here all week, and he'll continue to be here. We've enjoyed having you at the festival. He lives in New York, by the way. You probably can guess that. And the first time in Fargo?
Yes, extraordinary. Thank you, Fargo. Amazing.
Richard's been having a good time. And we have an award for you, my friend. Congratulations to Fragments 83, recipient of the Best Experimental Film, directed by Richard Millen. Thank you, Richard. Now, I know Richard's going to be at lunch, so where's lunch, everybody? How much does it cost? $10. And you get a free lunch out of it, and you get to talk to people like Richard and other guests.